Let's talk.
Okay, why don't we talk about the Denbo family and Barbara in particular?
Okay, Barbara was my first wife. We were married in March the 23rd, 1947. Unfortunately, she died a young woman from cancer. I remained a widower after that, but she's buried there. And she was a very talented woman. She was a concert violinist. She was first violinist in the Sullins College Symphony Orchestra. And I also was a violinist. But anyway, we met at the University of Alabama as youngsters, and we were married, and I went to run her father's business in Bristol, Tennessee, but she was born in Bristol, Virginia. So, I mean, our history of interlocking families between the Denbos, who are not buried here, other Denbos, are buried in Birmingham, and in Miami, Florida, the interrelationship between the families became very deep. My first cousin, David Denbo, the son of Benjamin, my father's brother, married Elizabeth Taylor, not the movie star, here in Huntsville, who was a merchant also. She had a very successful ladies' dress shop. And the interconnection became in the family. Her brother, Dr. Irvin Taylor, which I talked to just yesterday, who is a very, very, very successful man in San Francisco, was the brother of Elizabeth Taylor. His name was Irvin Taylor. And that's a story that ought to be told. I don't know whether it's the right time. You tell me whether it's the time to tell the story. Irvin Taylor was a highly decorated, the Distinguished Flying Cross of World War II, was shot down. My brother was shot down virtually at the same time, for they flew out of the same Air Force, did not know each other.
And your brother was who?
Charles Denbo, who lived in Pulaski, long dead for many years. Only when Elizabeth and Dave Denbo became engaged, and we all met at the engagement party, when the connection between my brother, who was in Stalag Luft 3 and then in the air prison at Moosburg, and Irvin Taylor, also the Distinguished Flying Cross holder, was in Stalag Luft 3 and then in the air prison at Moosburg, where they both almost starved to death. After the war, they compared notes and found out how close they were to each other and didn't know each other. I just talked to Dr. Irvin Taylor. He wanted to become a doctor, and in the University of Alabama medical school had a Jewish quota and was not allowed to go to medical school. And they said, what to do? He said, well, go somewhere else and get some other type of degree. So he became an optician. And finally was admitted to medical school, then on to the greatest medical schools in the world, and became a very renowned ophthalmic specialist in New York City. He truly catered to the Park Avenue crowd. You can edit this out when you want to. He married, his first wife was a descendant of the Bronfman family, Seagram's Corporation. She was a descendant for 1/5 of the 25 or $30 billion estate. They were married for maybe 2 or 3 years, and they could not live together, and they divorced. And then Dr. Taylor married Zelda, who was from London, who was an ophthalmic neurological specialist. And they both practiced together in New York City until their retirement. They moved to California in retirement. Now, I talked to him yesterday, very interesting. He and his son have over 1,000 apartments in San Francisco. And the vacancy rate is almost non-existent. Just thought it was a side note of the interconnection of families.
Do we want to go back and talk about Barbara anymore?
Well, yes, Barbara came from Bristol. Her parents sent her to very fancy girls' finishing school in New Jersey called Highland Manor. It was in the home the summer home of President Woodrow Wilson, which was converted to a girls' finishing school. I remember particularly all the bathrooms in this great mansion were made out of cut petrified wood. If you would touch that petrified wood today, they'd put you in prison. But anyway, she then came back, Sullins, and then to the University of Alabama, and that's where I met her. Her parents, Morris Falk, was a veteran of World War I. They were from St. Louis. Her mother and father from St. Louis. Her grandfather founded the Jewish Home for the Aged in St. Louis, which exists to this very time. And early on, they moved to California, to the San Diego area. Now, her mother's maiden name was Denbo, D-E-M-B-O, and mine is D-E-N-B-O. We were not related to each other.
Were they related to the Denbos?
No, not related to the Denbos at all. But it's interesting, the name Denbo and Denbo. Okay, anyway, he moved to California with his family and had a very large family, by the way. It was interesting, 5 sons and 1 daughter all died of coronary thrombosis. 2 of the sons of one of the brothers died of coronary thrombosis. It was either dietary or a congenital indigency, I'm not sure. But it's interesting that everybody in the family died, including 1 daughter, all died of coronary disease.